welcome. This is our book launch party. Before we get started, I want to introduce you all to Tonya Odio. She is the founder of Executive Foundations and the author of The Operations Advantage: Business Success Beyond Sales. And Tonya believes that one of the reasons businesses fail is a lack of operational systems. And through her work as an operational strategist, she helps entrepreneurs move beyond the hustle of growth and build structure, workflows, financial clarity, and accountability needed to scale with confidence. And her new book, The Operation Advantage, which we're going to talk all about today, is a practical guide for business owners who are growing but feeling the pressure of disorganized operations. While many conversations focus on marketing and revenue, Tonya brings attention to the hidden infrastructure that determines whether success creates freedom or chaos. And please, today, let's all give Tonya a round of applause. Welcome Tonya as the book author of The Operations Advantage. Tonya,
Thank you, Julie.
how you feeling today, Tonya? Look at all these people here to celebrate you.
I'm overwhelmed and so grateful and humbled that you guys are here. So thank you for taking time out and celebrating with me. This is a huge milestone. It took a while to complete this, but I'm super grateful. So thank you, Julie.
Awesome. Let's share with everybody what we're doing today. So today we're going to get the story behind the story from Tonya. We're going to have a conversation with Steve. We're going to get the dirt from Steve today. We're going to learn all about the back end of all of that. And then Tonya, I lost your slide.
You lost my slide?
Yeah.
Well,
You might have to go back in and share it again. I see your Zoom slide, right? Or your Zoom. Oh, wait. Am I seeing somebody else's screen right now?
yes.
Okay. Anyway, then we're going to hear from some of the guests in the audience. We're going to hear all about some testimonials from people that have worked with Tonya. So we're really excited
There
about
we go.
that.
We're back.
Awesome. Let's get right into it, Tonya. Next slide. Let's talk about the story behind the story. Why this book and why now?
Well, Julie, so I put this book together with the idea of creating a resource to help entrepreneurs, small business owners, and other executives to succeed beyond the sale. Wanted to compile my background and experience in working in small businesses. I was always working behind the scenes, and I saw how structure, workflow really supported the sales and the growth of a company. And I'm just passionate about helping entrepreneurs succeed. I really do get excited. I've spent my entire career being the support person and looking for ways to get things done better, more efficient, and just helping people reach their vision and their goals. So this book is a compilation of what I've learned and gained over my career and also as an entrepreneur. And I've always had side hustles, and now I've been doing my own business for a couple of years, and I'm really excited to bring this resource to everyone.
Okay. Tell us what the hardest thing was about creating a book. There's probably a lot of people in here that are saying, "Hey, I want to have a book." What was the hardest thing about doing this?
The hardest thing was, I think, putting all my thoughts together in an organized way and figuring out everything without putting too much. So, I mean, I did start out with a much bigger, like a lot more chapters, a lot more content. And it was a challenge to simplify it so that it was digestible for someone and not overkill. But I think it was the hardest having that blank page. And Steve will attest to this. I learned this working with him for many years. Having a blank page and putting something on, I think is the hardest part, getting started. But once you're in it and you get going, it gets easier.
Yes. What was the most exciting part about it?
The most exciting was when I got the actual book in the mail. When it was done and it came and I was like, wow, this is a real book. So I think in the beginning it was exciting, and then I think in the middle it got, harder because you're in the middle of it. And I think that's with anything that I've done or most people do. The beginning can be exciting, you got a vision, then you're getting through it and you're in the middle of it, and it's sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, You lose the vision sometimes, but then when you're done, it's exhilarating.
It is. There's nothing better than getting your book in the mail.
Yeah.
After all the iterations and all the mistakes that come, especially with the cover. Did you have cover problems?
I did. It was a challenge, and I think anybody trying to visualize something or depict what they want to in a um, image. So I went through a lot of different iterations, and I was trying to depict something that wasn't just a boring another, office image or business image. I wanted something that's made a statement that caught your eye. So it was challenging to get there, but I'm happy with the way it turned out.
I love that. What do you want business owners to understand differently about operations after reading the book?
Mm. How important it is that it's actually integral to your sale. Because I know a lot of times we focus a lot on sales. We get more sales, generate the revenue, which you need that to grow your business to actually have a business. But we don't necessarily think of what happens after the sale. So just the importance and what operations actually is, because a lot of people I've found, even in meeting people, I say what I do, and I say the word operations, and they're waiting for some kind of elaborate explanation or I don't know, some kind of definition that's, I don't know, some secret definition, but it really is just how you run things, how you get things done. So just to keep it simple and the importance of it.
Amazing. If there's any questions you're dying to ask Tonya, put them in the chat. I want to see if anybody has any other questions they want to ask you. I want to know something. You know, Tonya, some people here know me. I'm a professional development coach. I work with leaders all the time. But what I want to know, this is the story behind the story. I want to know, like, what did you learn about yourself during this process?
Oh, what did I learn about myself? Probably some of the same things I've learned in my career in general. I tend to jump into things and then I figured out as I go. And being tenacious is part of my personality. So I learned there was a lot more to putting a book together than I initially thought. And Steve might remember this when I first brought in the subject. I thought, in a few months I'll have a book. And I started
Mhm.
this in 2024. There was a lot more to it. But I learned that I know a lot more than I realized from my experience, and then also to define my purpose behind it. So, kind of grew in that and why I was doing it.
I love that. And I think this is a good transition to talk to Steve now to learn about what his involvement was and a little bit about you, Steve. Tell us a little bit about who you are. Actually, Tanya's going to share this again. We see that you are a marketing and advertising and scaling expert. And tell us just a little bit about who you are and how you met Tanya.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So I founded a company called Ad Services, which was a full service advertising marketing agency. And Tanya came into my orbit. We got to know each other professionally, and she came to work there at Ad Services, beginning as an executive assistant to me. And we worked together for over 10 years in that company. And obviously, we've been connected ever since. So that was the origins of working with Tanya. Actually, Steve Brightcruz, who you may hear from later, he was also involved here and is involved with Tanya. And he was also there in the very, very beginnings of my friendship and professional relationship with Tanya.
Awesome. What should we know? What else do we need to know? It sounds like you had some you knew Tanya before she had her company and it was doing all
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Tell us a
Way
little,
before.
what don't we know about Tanya that we should know?
Well, she mentioned a moment ago how tenacious she is, and I wasn't sure when that might come up. But yeah, when it comes to operations, tenacious is the word, actually. I'm getting a little ahead of the chronology, perhaps, of the story, but because Tanya began her career with me just as my assistant. So I'm going to do it a little bit more chronologically, and then I'll get into the tenacious part. But what really impressed me about Tonya and why she eventually grew from just being my assistant to director of strategy, vice president of the company, president of the company, and a partner in the company before we sold, was that what really impressed me originally, kind of blew me away, was that Tonya would come into my office and help me with a project the way I was doing it. And then she would go away. And then she'd come back a couple of days later and say, here's a different way to do that project I was helping you with the other day. And it's a new way and a better way. And I'd be like, oh, wow, I never thought of doing it that way. To the extent that eventually I would just say, sit here and watch me for a while, and then go away and come back in a couple of days with an improvement on this process.
Mm.
So that's really what drove her progress from executive assistant to eventually president and partner in the company.
I
Now,
love that.
when you want to talk about tenaciousness, once there was a process in place, woe be to you if you violated that process. Yeah, because Tonya would absolutely remind you if you were coloring outside the lines of the process. Yeah, and everybody in the company knew that. By the way, I see a couple people here who worked in this at ad services.
Everyone
So
knew,
yeah,
Tonya.
That's
Everyone
his
knew.
polite way of
yeah,
saying she was a pain in the butt.
pain in the
Everyone
butt. Yeah,
knew.
yeah, and
Okay.
she would slap things back at you faster than you could imagine. You'd be in a project and you'd think, okay, I got that out of my court, it's back in her court, and then boom, you turn around and it's right back at you. So yeah, she's very on top of things. I also want to say that initially when Tonya worked as my assistant, her workspace was in the middle of the process flow. So, in other words, if the account executives had to get to the designers, they had to walk by Tonya. If the somebody had to talk to the copywriter, they had to walk by Tonya. If the production manager went into the creative department, they walked past Tonya. And so she had her radar on all the time. And that was one thing where she would just absorb without being told. She would absorb what the bottlenecks were and the frustrations were, and then she would come to me with, because she's respectful, she would come to me with a solution and say, I've been noticing this and this and this, and I think we can improve upon that by creating this system. Yeah, and probably the biggest thing she did, well, I shouldn't say the biggest, but I mean, one thing she did, she completely automated the office from paper, job bags, which we would call them in the ad world, job tickets, job bags, all that kind of thing, to a complete enterprise system that drove everything in the background. So anyway, little history there. Yeah.
A little history. Well, I heard a lot of ingredients for success there, Tonya. Being
Yeah.
tenacious, noticing things, absorbing, and making things better. So, all the things that
Yeah,
we need
for
to be
sure.
thinking about when we do our operations. Steve, tell us, what do you think business owners do to underestimate operations?
And I love the way the question is worded because you say business owners, what do they do? And I have found, and I should say that in light of the fact that Tonya was so on top of running the advertising agency, I was able in the last many years of the company to move into more of a consulting role with our clients, and it branched out into other areas. So I was able to, and I've continued that since the company sold. So I've been able to consult with some companies, and I find that business owners very often underestimate or underestimate their own work ethic. And overestimate their employees' work ethic. So I'll give you an example, this is a true example, but I'm going to change all the details because I don't want to rat out anybody. But let's say there's a shoe store and it's called Joe's Shoe Store, and Joe is the owner. And I've seen this so many times, is that Joe will get frustrated because his employees, let's say that the shipment comes in and they don't put the shoes away in the warehouse. And Joe will say to me, well, why isn't my employee Fred, why isn't he putting those shoes away? And I would say, do you have a process that tells Fred that he's supposed to put those shoes away? Is it there's an organizational chart that shows that that's part of his role? Is there a procedure for him to do that? And Joel will say, well, no, but he should know this. And in this case, one case I'm thinking of, I took the guy outside and I pointed up at the sign on the building. I said, "What does that sign say?" And just for the purposes of this, it says Joe's shoe store. And I said, well, yeah, if Fred thought like you, it would be called Fred's Shoe Store. And so I think business owners need to have these processes in place so their employees know what to do. And many times most of the time they're very good people. They don't want to overstep their bounds, or they're not sure who they report to. They're not sure of many of the policies of the company, how to name simple things like how to name files and where stuff goes and where to find stuff. And so it creates all kinds of confusion. And by having these operational systems in place, that confusion can turn into clarity, and it's much better for the success of the business. So I think the danger there is just business owners thinking that employees are going to think like they do. And that's just not true. They need the systems to help them do the right things.
Absolutely. I love that. And we're going to learn all about systems in a few minutes. Steve, what would you like to tell Tonya as she embarks into this next chapter of her own journey as a book author?
What? That question wasn't on the list, really. But I think it's an easy transition for Tonya because obviously I'm intimately acquainted with the content of the book, having been involved all the way through it. And I realized that it's not a stretch for this book, and the content of this book is not a stretch for Tonya at all. It's basically an extension of what she knows and embodies and does all the time. I think the value of the book for Tonya will be that she can present it to her prospective clients and clients to kind of give them a heads up, or give them a head start on the types of things that Tonya will work with her clients on. So I think it's going to save her clients a lot of time, and hopefully save her a lot of time, and that they begin to gain the understanding, like, oh, these are the kind of things we're supposed to think about and do. And then Tonya will help them to execute that. Although I think the book is a standalone. If somebody just picks it up and reads it and implements it, it's not just a rah, you need to have systems book. It's also a workbook that somebody could have on their desk and go through almost like a checklist and execute on their own. But certainly it's much more beneficial to have someone like Tonya help you through all these processes.
I love that. Well, we're going to dig a little deeper, Tonya, into the book. I love this. For those of you who are interested in getting the book, you see a bunch of QR codes right now, and there's going to be some links in the chat for you to get your book. But we're going to dig a little deeper, Tonya.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Steve. And I just want to add, in case people missed it, Steve was a big part of creating this book. We started out, I said, hey, can you just help me be my editor? He's written many books. And I really relied on his input and structure. And so working together with him on this was fantastic. So he was a big part of getting this book together and completed. So I just wanted to add that.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. And I know my part's over, but I just want to say that, Tonya, in my estimation, this is just yet one more example of the types of things that you and I have accomplished together. Now, obviously, this was a big one, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but with all the hours that we put into it and the months that we put into it, but I think it's the macrocosm of the microcosm that we've always been able to work together well, complement each other well, and accomplish a lot of projects. So I give you a lot of credit as well. I mean, obviously you're the author, but I was happy to collaborate, and I just think it's another testimony to how well we work together and continue to.
Thank you, Steve.
Well, it is story time, Tanya.
Yes.
Let's start at the beginning. It's story time, everyone. Tanya's going to read a little from the book.
Would you let me read you a story? I'm going to actually start with the beginning of the book, an introduction. Imagine a day in the future when all your company's operational systems are in place and running smoothly. You know exactly how much revenue the company is generating and what percentage goes to production expenses and overhead, giving you a clear picture of your profit. The inventory numbers in your computer are accurate and you never order too much of anything, nor do you run out. Leads are never overlooked or missed, and all your customers are serviced in a timely manner. Orders are processed promptly, and you are on top of your customers' needs before they even reach out for help. Management has full visibility into customer inquiries, so they can ensure clients are receiving the highest level of care. Any negative feedback is addressed to the satisfaction of the unhappy customer, turning him or her into a fan. There are no missed messages, calls, emails, or chats. All communication is documented properly and visible to relevant team members. Messages from colleagues, clients, prospects, vendors, and salespeople are followed up in accordance with set urgency levels and protocols, keeping production moving with no bottlenecks. As a result, your customers rave about your service. Team members have clear expectations for completing projects accurately, timely, and within budgets. Management knows exactly how our project is progressing and the status of all deliverables. Documents are easily retrieved and shared as needed. Information technology, your IT, glitches are addressed with no data losses. Disruptions are minimal, and the team is able to continue working through any that do occur. Marketing efforts generate a consistent flow of leads. Printed and digital materials, including the company's website, are branded accurately, and any changes are quickly updated across both internal documents and external collateral. Everyone understands the organization's brand story and embraces it. In fact, you often hear employees effectively talking about the company's vision, mission, and values, as well as its products and services. None of this happens by accident. It's all by design and part of business operations. But too often, entrepreneurs start out with an idea for a product or service without knowing how to turn that dream into reality. Operations aren't formally addressed until the company has added team members or is ready to scale. These owners attempt to develop systems as they go, with minimal planning or analysis, while at the same time trying to do business and keep customers happy. It's action by necessity. While messy effort is better than no effort, at some point, a business needs a more formal structure for operations in order to be sustainable. And the earlier the better, before this situation gets out of control. Well-organized systems provide a business with the many benefits outlined in Chapter 1. Setting up these systems for each area of the company requires thoughtful evaluation and time investment to determine the what, who, and how. That can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. This book itself provides guidance to alleviate any anxiety you may have about getting started. I further recommend involving others with operational experience or strengths in line with the current state of your business. A company with efficient business operations will have a set of tools and standard operating procedures in its arsenal. For example, a simple yet complete organizational chart shows everyone's areas of responsibility, to whom they report, and who reports to them, even if the company is lean and people have more than one role. This eliminates confusion and adds a huge dose of peace to everyone's understanding of where they stand in the organization. Workflow charts provide team members with clear direction for every business process, creating consistency and virtually zero errors caused by missing a step. An operations manual and employee handbook define the company's expectations of its employees and lets associates know all the good things they can expect from the company. Later chapters of this book will discuss each of these tools and more. Sound good?
Yep.
Keep reading as we journey together to our destination of effective and organizational operations systems. This book is designed to help you get there from wherever your company stands today.
Wow, Tonya. Thank you for reading that. I need to go well, I did get my book already. It's coming. It's coming. Well, it sounds like, getting your operations together is going to help your business grow. It's going to help your business be in a place where you don't have a lot of stress, Tonya.
Yes, that's what it's there for. See, the sharing has been turned off.
So I love it. What of that that you just read is the most important part of it?
I think just understanding that it's critical, and even if you haven't implemented it yet and you're already running your business, it's not too late.
Try
You can
again,
get
Tanya. It should
started.
be enabled now.
Okay. Thank you. All
Well,
right.
thank you. Thank you for story time with Tonya. Ooh, what is an operational system?
Well, let's talk about that, Julie, and then let's talk about some real ones. I'm just going to read two definitions that are in the book. So when you get started in chapter one, so the term business operations is used to encompass a number of operational systems within a company. So in other words, business operations are made up of several individual operational systems, each of which manage a piece of what your company does, whether you provide a product or service or both, and no matter simple or complex. So it's really just how you're getting things done. Operational systems cover everything in the day-to-day activities of business. It's how you get things done internally with the team and externally for clients and customers. And it details all the steps which take place before the sale, throughout the sale, and as the order is fulfilled.
I love this. And
Yes.
now, even with AI, we have to really rethink our old operational systems, think about new operational systems. But,
Yes.
you know, I have a little operational system that I want
Yes.
to share.
I want to hear about that.
You want to see mine? Well, I love what you talked about because you talked about the simple operational systems and the complicated ones. But today, yes, everyone, I'm going to share an operational system that I have created for myself. So excited to share this. Okay. All right, ready? So I picked up a new hobby. It's called walking. Does everybody here walk? Anybody walk? Um,
From
so
here to the fridge, right? No.
well, no, I actually created a new hobby. It's getting up at 6:45 and walking. So I walk 4 days a week. I try to walk for about 45 minutes. I get about 5,000 steps. But I realized like getting up and I complain, Tanya. Like believe me, I complain from the time I get up and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But I try to figure out like a way to make everything easier for me because getting up, I want to get up, I want to get dressed, and I want to get out. And so I created this system.
Can we
Can you
see
see
that?
my? Okay. Ah, it's the background. I thought I was going to be able to do this. You see my box? Anyway, in my box, I'm like
Oh.
gone. I'm gone from the universe here. In my box, I have these little rolls. These are my
Yeah.
clothes. In my clothes, I have my shirt, my socks, my undergarments. I don't want to say what they are, but I have them all rolled up. And I roll them up and I put them in this box. And every morning I get up, I take out the roll, I roll out the pants, and I get dressed and I get out. This is my operational system.
And Julie, when do you set that up? What's your routine?
So on Sunday night, I set up all my clothes. I bring all my clothes into this office that I have because my office doubles as a guest room. And so I have room in here. I throw all my clothes out and I make all my outfits and I put them together for the week because if I don't do this, I won't get out. I know I won't. I mean, I will, but it will take me way longer and I don't have the time for that. So I built an operational system for my personal well being.
Thank you. I love it. And I'm sure a lot of people here could implement that. It'd probably be helpful.
I
I'm going to
wonder.
share one. I'm going to share one that is because I know there's people on here maybe not in business and their family and friends and they're here just to support me. But so I do this with any kind of paper that comes to me, whether it's my mail or have an ad or something. I have and I actually picked this up working at Ad Services. So I have these plastic folders, and I put one that says pending items, one that says items to process, and items to consider.
Oh, geez, Tanya, that's
It's on
so
my
awesome.
desk. So the
It's
items to consider
beautiful.
is like you get an ad or something, you're like, maybe I'm interested in that, but just not right now. I don't have time for that. And I throw it in there. Things that I know I have to deal with go in the process. And then things I started working with and I'm waiting. Maybe I requested something and I'm waiting for it to come in the mail. It goes in pending. So
Ooh, I'm loving that. I have that in my inbox in my email, but I never thought to do it for the stuff. I just
yeah,
have
because
like a
sometimes you have to
pile.
have paper. I mean, we could
Yeah.
eliminate paper only so much, but you get mail. What are you gonna do with your mail? And sometimes you can't deal with it the moment you open it. So a lot of it goes in the trash, but
All
so,
right. I love this. How many people, I would love to see in the chat, how many people are going to start doing what Tanya is doing with her folder? How many people are going to make their clothes a box of like rolled up exercise clothes? I mean, it's just
yeah.
fantastic.
Do we
Um,
want others to share any processes they have?
yeah,
Business going on?
does anyone have an operational system that they want to share? Let me see who's in the audience today. Maybe I could
Yeah.
actually
Put your hands up.
can I call on someone randomly?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to call on Scott Smith. Can I call on Scott Smith? Look at
You
him. He's
can,
got the
Julie, you can
background.
always call on Scott Smith. You know that.
Scott Smith has the background and everything. Scott, do you have an operational system? Maybe you could talk about your operational system with all your content that you do, because you do like a lot of shorts.
I do. Yeah. So I do, yeah, I do have an operational system that I follow. And, a lot of it is built around my calendar because it's how I keep control of every little moment of my day and every little thing that I do. So I have a block that I schedule every week for content design, which means I need to script out what I'm going to talk about for my podcast in the upcoming week. I do a short form podcast on stoicism and modern leadership concepts. And so I script out what each one of those is going to be about for the coming week. And then I do 5 episodes of those. I often will sit down in that same content block and record the short form recordings, and then I will script out kind of what I want to talk about on the walk and talk shorts that I do. And then when I go for my morning walk too, Julie, I'll get my phone out and I'll, film myself walking and talking and huffing and puffing and then share that with the world. But the operational system that keeps that going, one is my calendar, and two is the fact that I am committed to doing it, and I do it the same way every week
Hmm.
in, week out. And I'll tell you what, 2 weeks ago, that content system got broken because we suddenly had something come up and we had to be somewhere in the window that I had reserved every week for that. And I was left in a panic. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because I didn't have a backup system, right? So my
Mm.
backup system was that week was get up really early and record something and then make sure it got posted. And I made it through the week, but I've been committed to trying to get that done and stay consistent, which I've done every weekday for more than since the end of March of 2025. I've had an episode come out every single weekday for the last, more than a year. And it's so now I've got hundreds of episodes and pieces of
Hundreds of
content. And
episodes.
yeah, so that's my system, Julie, is I keep it in my calendar, I stick to that block, and I do it the same way every time. And I use AI for part of that ideation, and I have a set system with a prompt that I've written that gives me not the same content, but the same basic structure of the content so that I can do it in the same way. So it's faster, it's smoother, it's simpler, and it's way easier for me. But then I still have to show up, think about it, and do the talking.
I love that.
And I have one
So,
more thing to say.
yes.
Tonya, my friend, I ordered your book. It's going to come on Sunday. I'm so excited.
Oh,
And
thank you, Scott.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm
Congratulations.
so happy you're here. Thank you.
Of course, I wouldn't miss it.
Do you want to tell everybody how you know Tonya?
Well, I met Tonya through you. So if y'all don't really know Tonya, well, first get to know Julie because, Julie is a master connector.
Yeah.
But, Tonya and I have separately met several times, and I am proud to call her a friend at this point because we have so much in common, both from, operational backgrounds and the way that we work with and support not only our respective teams, but teams in general. So I met her through you, though, Julie, and highly recommend to anybody.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
Amazing. Well, I know we have a lot to get to, but there's a couple other people, Tonya, that are raising their hands. Do you want to call on anyone else?
Yeah, let's hear from Steve and then Talmar, and then we'll move on.
I'll be very quick. I am speaking to you right now from a hotel in Washington, D.C., where my daughter and her husband live. We were here visiting, and I could not travel without a checklist. That is my operational system for that anybody can adopt. That I would forget my socks or something. So I have a checklist that it takes me 8 minutes to pack for a week-long trip. And that's all because I have a checklist. I just run around the house, throw stuff in the bag, and go right down the checklist. So I recommend that to anybody who travels. Make a checklist and just follow it when you travel.
Nice.
Love it. So many tips and tricks on how to make life easier and business. Talmar, you're next.
Thanks. Congratulations, Tonya. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. So glad you're here.
Yeah, of course. My process is my whole business model is about it. I found that business owners did not know how to hire for their own companies and how to pull themselves into a hiring process to make sure they were building their own team. So we have a whole step-by-step process that walks people through every time they need to hire. It's really about identifying success and pulling them in. So that's one of the things Tonya and I bond over is we both love operations and process and making life way easier for business owners. And so, yeah, I'm all about the process and I love exactly what Tanya's trying to get out into the universe. So congratulations, Tonya.
Thank you. I think we have one more hand. So I think we'll let John and then we'll stop. Hey, John.
Hi. So, one of the things I had trouble with a few years ago was getting all the business cards and juggling all the contacts, and whatnot. And I built my sales software to just put everything in there and consolidate it. And then I went from contacting people like a month later to like the next day. So
Nice.
being organized is the difference between you've got the sale and you fumble it, or you get the sale and everyone's happy.
Nice. Totally agree. Thank you. All right. Well, Julie, did we accomplish explaining what an operational system is?
I think we did. I think we nailed it.
All right.
All right. Well, Tonya, let's get into the areas of the book that we cover, that you're covering in the book.
Yeah, so this book is going to cover every area of any business, and we've identified 10 areas that every business needs to consider and implement and organize. And this is the list. So your accounting, product management, communication, marketing, sales, all of this. Every business, it doesn't matter what service or product that you are providing. these are the areas that when you become, an entrepreneur gets into business and then they realize, wow, there's a lot more than maybe they initially thought of. So each of these areas need to be considered, set up properly. And in the book, I've organized it so that every one of these is covered completely. So the chapter will start with explaining what it is and how it helps your business, like what it does for your business, that area of it. And then it'll give you a step-by-step how to set up. So your accounting systems, what does accounting mean? It's not just hiring a bookkeeper. You have to have a whole process around how you're going to manage your accounting and your finance. So the chapter will take you step by step on all the things you need to do and set it up. And then it'll give you best practices and tips and things that I have gained and understood, and then so that you can actually implement. So every chapter is laid out that way, and it covers all of the categories that any business needs.
I love that. Well, guys, you have the opportunity right now and throughout this program to buy the book. We are going to talk more, though. We have some more things to talk through today. And I believe we are going to hear from some people here in the audience next, Tonya. Is that where we're going?
Julie,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but in the chat, it seemed like some people were having a problem with the QR code to buy the book.
Okay.
I put links in the chat
thank you.
to the hard copy and the Kindle version.
Okay.
So
let's put them in again. Let's put them. Okay, good.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for that. Yes. Let's get
yeah.
those
And,
links.
okay, Julie, the other look up above that one. I also put a link to the hard
The
copy.
Kindle. Okay, I see that there. Thank you. I'll re-paste it in.
Well, no, you. I think you put the Kindle link twice.
Oh,
somebody
sorry.
else. No. Yeah, you want to put the other link that I put before that one.
Okay.
And if you go to Amazon, you search the Operations Advantage Tonya Odio, it'll come right up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I just found it. I'll put it in.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'll put it right now. Okay. All right. Carry on. Sorry.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So,
oh, it is the guest spotlight in coffee, toast, and roast.
roast.
I was hoping we were going to roast Tonya today, but
I don't mind. I can take a good joke.
I don't know if anybody wants to roast, but let's do the guest spotlights. Tonya, who do you want to call on today for the first guest spotlight?
Yeah, so I would like Greg Goldstein. Would love for him to share.
I thought I was here for the roast, not the toast.
Oh, you can do that too.
Yeah. So going back to what Steve was saying earlier about processes in place and people get confused and don't know where to find files. That's exactly what happened in my business 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I was the keeper of all things in my email. And so files weren't being able to be found. Logins weren't anywhere but in my phone or my email. And so then Tonya came along and we had an initial conversation because you don't know what you don't need, what you don't know until somebody brings it up to you. And Tonya had a quick lunch together. And I was like, God, this is exactly what we need right now. And knowing Tonya for 10 years prior, I said Tonya would be a great asset. And so she brought her operation system to my organization. And we now have a Google Drive. We have Asana, very similar. We were doing things halfway, not as good as we should be doing. And so that was a huge help. The other part too was the financial side and the bookkeeping side. Tonya is a master at that. And so, as I said yesterday, no eyes and ears, no decisions are made without Tanya's eyes and ears. And that's really what Tonya brings to our company every day.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
And I would like to add, because Greg is a friend and client now, and we also were coworkers, so we've known each other a long time. So there's a lot of trust factor there as well. I just want to say, when I came in and he invited me into his new company, and that he had been doing for a few years to help get some things restructured and organized, he has some team members, and one of them was so excited because she had been saying, we need more structure, we need some shared drive, some project, some better project management. So I came in and I worked alongside him and his team to put in place what's going to work for them. And that's one of the things about systems. You have to you make systems work for you. It's not a cookie cutter for everybody. Like there's the foundation of what everybody needs, but then you have to figure out the tools that work for you. So it was fun putting that together with them, and I still work with them. But the other thing I do is when I identify an area and expertise is needed, I bring in other experts that do things more hyper focused in an area that I might not do. And so that's where I'd like to call Talmar up, because she actually collaborates with me, and I brought her into the situation with Greg because he's growing his team.
Yes.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been really remarkable. And Tonya, if you've got Tonya working for you, she's very protective. She really reached out to me and vetted my solutions and making sure it was a right fit before she even introduced me to her client. She wanted to make sure that she was taking care of them and that this was going to be the kind of thing they needed. And then she was careful to stay in the process, and is still in the process when it's appropriate, right? To make sure that her client's getting what he needs for hiring, managing his team, organizational structure, where it goes outside of the scope that Tonya is like, yeah, somebody can do this better, because we can all admit there's some things that everybody can do better. And so it's been my joy to help her and her client. And again, I was very impressed with how she really wants to make sure that this is the right solution for the client before she brings anybody else on the team, and really gets that introduction going. Tonya, it's just, again, she's so quick. She's easy to understand. She just takes the solution and runs and builds it, and really makes sure that the clients can implement it in their companies. And it's been a pleasure to get to work with her.
Thank you, Tamar, and you've been a great addition, and I've seen a lot of growth for Greg and his company as I was able to bring you on. So thank you.
I just want to add,
Thank
actually,
you.
to that point, Steve. You'll remember you would wrote down one time WWMD. Now I have a sign on my desk that says WWTD. And what would Talmar say? What would Talmar do? Because I think a lot of times what Talmar would say before I do something.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's
honestly,
good.
Greg, you should be impressed with yourself. Stepping into the boss role is really challenging for a lot of business owners, right? When you really have to tell people, no, that's not right because I don't like it, which is a generalized way of saying do the job correctly. There's a lot of mind stuff that goes in there, and the process of how to communicate it. And Greg is stepping into the role very successfully, obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tamar.
Tonya, who else do you want to call on today? There's so many amazing people here.
There is, but I had two people I specifically teed up and asked them if they wouldn't mind sharing. One of them is Steve Brightcrus. He's a friend and business coach, and I would love for him to share how him and I know each other, and anything he wants to say.
Great. Thank you, Tonya, and appreciate the opportunity to say a few words, and just congratulations on the book. This is awesome. What a great accomplishment, and all the hard work that went into it. So I've got mine coming as well, and so I'm looking forward to really reading through it. But I did want to share. Something. I had an opportunity. I had owned my own business for a while, and after I had sold that, I was able to work at Ad Services and work with both Steve and Tonya. And one of the things that really struck me about Tonya and processes and how it all comes together is that Steve and I've known Steve for a long time, and so we were friends. And I would see, having owned my own business and then watching Steve as the owner at that point of that business, see the stress that business owners go through. That's just a natural part of the final decisions always fall on that business owner, and the stress that's there. And Tanya's role and the way that she worked there to set up those processes, to set up those systems, it's in a lot of ways it's a stress reliever, because it puts processes in place where you go through the process to come up with the right solution. You get the right people involved. You know all the bases are covered. You know that you've done all you can do to come up with that right decision and the right solution because the process leads you there. And so it takes a lot of the stress out of it. And I think that's an important component, Tonya, that those processes and the systems that you've implemented across, I'm sure, all the business, but I saw it specifically at Ad Services that really adds value and allows the owner to de-stress a little bit and spend a lot more time on the big picture vision things as opposed to being caught up in the day-to-day tactical things. So I just wanted to share that. It's a great gift to any business owner to be able to have these processes in place so that they can really devote their time to what really matters.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that. And you did, yeah, touch on a point that process does relieve stress. You're not freaking out trying to find things, figure out how do we get this done. There's like a sense of peace because you already know it just flows. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one other person I did ask, her name is Doris, and I just adore her. She's part of our networking group and also someone that I got to help do some things for. So she said something to me that surprised me, and I just thought it would be great for her to share.
Doris, it's been so long. She's cracking up.
Oh, no, we can't hear her.
We can't hear you, Doris.
There you are. There you are. I hear her. I hear her.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's just real low.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. So I met Tanya through a networking group and through Julie. And for years, I've been a multipreneur, which means, and I'm a big picture person. So it means that my solopreneur business, Plan B 2000, doesn't require much. But my husband and I have a residential service business, and he is an operations person. The problem is he's an outside operations person. He's an organizational person for routing and all that great stuff. But he is not interested in QuickBooks, and he is not interested. Well, actually, if I get him in the office, he will organize my files. But I didn't have a standard operating procedure notebook, which our business is 12 years old, and it's time to get this together. And my QuickBooks had, well, Tommy could tell you, had old numbers in it from the year of the flood. And I didn't know what to do with it. And so last August, I treated myself to Executive Foundations, and it was a treat because talk about stress, she just took it all off my shoulders. I now am very proud of what I'm putting together here for operations procedures. It's awesome. And my QuickBooks are almost perfect. Every now and then I get a snag and call Tanya, but she's worth every penny. She is patient, she's bright, she's beautiful. And now she wrote a book, and I'm going to have to get her autograph on the book. So thanks. I love you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. Yeah, it was a pleasure to be able to help step in and just provide some guidance and help her get things in a way that she feels a lot better about. So thank you, Doris.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So where do you want to go from here, Julie?
Well, I'd like to show everybody the last slide about making sure that everyone has a copy, and then we could open it up for like a Q&A. We could go a couple minutes over and just open up the whole floor.
So I don't know. I hope I hope the QR code's working.
If the QR code isn't working, we're going to have the link in the chat. But get your copy today. We are super excited to be here with Tonya, celebrating her. Tonya, what would you like to say in closing? And then we could just like open it up for people to ask you some more questions.
I just want to really say thank you to everyone that took time out of, you took a whole hour to be here with me. You could be doing so many other things. So I feel very loved. Thank you. And I just hope and pray that this tool gets to as many people that can use it to help them. And I also want to give glory to God because I'm only here because of his divine purpose in my life, and that I have the relationships I have because of him, and that we are here fulfilling whatever purpose he's intending. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you for your insight, your wisdom. And everybody needs a little like operations in their life. Let's open up the floor. We could unspotlight us. See if you could
Yeah, we
you know.
have some questions in the chat as well.
All right. Anything burning? Otherwise, we could just like open it up and people can raise their hand if they want to ask Tanya a question.
So we have a question here from Joey Himmelfarb. Did imposter syndrome ever set in?
Oh my gosh, the entire time. It took me a while to launch this book. I kept pushing the date even when the book was, pretty much done because I was like, I'm not an author. Like, I just put a bunch of information together in paper and like it just was weird to me, especially when, and Julie actually pushed me. And I thank you, Julie, so much because God brought us together and I was helping her on something and she's helped me on this. Because if it weren't for her, I don't know how I was going to launch a book. I didn't want to just throw it up on Amazon and hope that, people found it. But this is not my comfort zone. And so Julie just took her skills and her gifts and really helped me. So, yes, imposter syndrome was a big one that I had to fight. Like, who am I? So, great question.
And then from Talmar, what is in the book that you think will surprise most business owners?
Surprise them? I don't know if it'll surprise them, but it's a very hands-on, just step by step. So I'm hoping that wherever they land, there'll be some aha, like, oh, I didn't, because a lot of times I think, oh, everybody should know how to do this, or everybody knows. And then I share something and people go, oh, that's such a great idea. And I'm like, really? Like, I just assumed everybody, it didn't seem that big. So I'm hoping that the simplicity of the way that I laid out the information will provide a lot of ahas, like, oh gosh, why didn't I think of that? And it makes things easier.
Awesome. And then from Steven, Tanya, while every business is unique, are there some common quick fixes that you see across the small businesses you have worked with?
Yes, yes. I'm going to say to me, it sounds so, elementary, but how you organize your data, just having a way of having simple, organized folders in your digital system and naming your files consistently the same way. And I have a format that I use no matter who I'm working with for myself and for other people is like I always start with whether it's like a vendor name or a client name, I put a dash, then a description of what the file is, dash, and then a date. I always date because even if there's a date when you open it up, it's better to just see it at a glance that, oh, this file, and because sometimes you'll have multiple versions of something for some reason, like maybe if you're at a staffing agency and you have resumes and you don't want to lose an older one, having the date right there and not having to open up a file to see how old it is, to me, that translates across any business. Just organizing your data very well.
So I just want to stop real quickly. We're at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
For those of you who need to get to your 12 o'clock meeting, or if you're having lunch and you need to leave, we want to wish you a great day. Thank you, Tanya. We're going to hang out for a few more minutes. So if you want to hang out with us, stay. But I just wanted to say thank you, Tanya, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Awesome. We got a question in the chat from Irabel. While writing, what was your favorite chapter and why?
And it's Edie Bell. That's one of my
Edie
really
Bell.
good friends. Thank you for being here. She goes by Bella sometimes because of that. My favorite chapter, honestly, is chapter 8. It's standard tools for organizing operations. Probably like why? Because in here, I get excited about the actual visual aspect of some of operations. So I get to lay out some tools that every business needs, and I do it. It's what they are is like, so for example, I have organizational charts in here. It's your visual structure of how your organization set up, where your people are, the hierarchy, the positions, the roles, and the ways that everything connects together. So this was my favorite chapter because I got to put some hands-on tools in here and I lay out what they are, how to use them, and how to actually create your own. So that was actually my favorite chapter. It was fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Then from John, what area, industries, etc., are you most comfortable with? Are you interested in expanding into others?
So my comfort because of my experiences, any service based, and I'll say a lot of those are, I'm definitely fluent in the marketing and digital agencies, did that for many years. So I understand their service and product, staffing agencies, accounting agencies, those type of services. Yes, I'm always open to expanding and learning. That's how I've been my whole career. I never stayed in one industry, so I'm adaptable to any industry.
Awesome. I think that's the end of the questions in the chat. If anybody wants to raise their hand and ask more questions, we'll open up the floor. And otherwise, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. You know what? I don't know if you can do this, but if you could put the links to Tanya's stack list from the podcast that we did. There's two podcasts that were posted on Stack List. Maybe we could share that. So if you want to hear more about Tanya's insights as she was on the Stay on Course podcast, you can listen and share that with your friends. And then also, anyone who's here, we would love for you to be able to share Tanya's book. Once you get the book and it comes to you, take a picture with the book and tag Tanya and show her some love on LinkedIn.
Oh, thank you.
I should have said that in the beginning when everyone else was here, but we'll make sure to do that. I see two more people. Morella, tell us what's going on.
Morella, how are you, everyone? Super mega congratulations again and again and again. So I was telling Tanya this morning that I think for us that work with B2B, that work with business owners, it's a great gift.
Oh,
Whether they're
yes.
starting up, they have established business, there's always room for improvement, right?
Oh, that's a
So
good idea, Morella. I
if
should buy it while it's still $10.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean it's not a bucket breaker, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't have to get money off your 401k. You don't have to mortgage your house. You don't have to do any of that. So yeah, and you're helping your a customer,
sure.
a client
That's a
of
good
yours, right?
idea. Great
Yeah,
idea. You know,
yeah, it's a great idea.
that's a good idea. Morella, I give gifts to my clients if I see them locally. I give them a book, a journal,
Yeah,
pens,
me
a
too.
bunch of stuff. I should put the
Yeah,
operations advantage in.
yeah.
That's a good
Usually bring them
idea.
chocolate. Yeah, I usually bring them chocolate. So, but this would be chocolate plus a guide, right? It is like a
Yeah,
guide, isn't it?
it is.
Yes, it is. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Merle. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Thank you.
And Joey Himmelfarb. Joey, what's up,
How,
Joey?
how you doing?
I'm doing good.
How
Doing
you
good.
doing? You think I'm funny? I make you look like a clown? So
Hi,
Tanya,
Vinny.
I love it.
congratulations. Great,
Thank
great
you.
achievement for sure, and you know that, right? So, uh, hopefully, people have heard your message, several messages. Anybody can write a book. Everybody has a book in them, and so
Yeah.
you're the classic example of that, right? The poster child, if you will, right? I'm sure you have a second book in your brain already. If not, it's going to come soon because that's what happens when you write a book. You want to write a second one, just like having a tattoo. What I learned, if I may, if anybody in the audience who wants to write a book, who's thinking about it but is not sure, may I offer you two pieces of advice? Remember what Tanya said, how she didn't think she was an author, and look at her now. She's got a book out there. But secondly, don't think about writing the book and come up with great ideas without writing them down. Because two things are going to happen. A, you're going to forget what you're thinking about. You're a human being. You're not going to remember. Secondly, by writing it down, now you open up your brain for more real estate, for more ideas to come in. So you can build upon your book. So if Tanya has demonstrated to you or lit a match under your you know what to get you off the dime and write a book, that's my advice to you. I'm from New York. I got a lot of opinions, more so than filters. I apologize, but just Tanya's a great example of how anybody can do it, and while you're doing it, you're going to be questioning yourself. Am I the right person? Who's going to listen to me? What am I talking about? And here we are.
Thank you, Joey.
Good for you, Tanya.
Thank you, Joey.
Been
Good advice.
amazing.
Good advice.
Well, Tanya,
Yeah. I don't want to
been
hold
a
anybody
great-
hostage. So, like, I know we're going over, so I don't want people to feel like, oh, I don't want to exit because she'll think I don't love her. But I know people need to get back to their schedule.
It's lunchtime, Tanya. It's
Is
lunchtime.
it? Is it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
you know
I
what
don't know if business owners take lunch.
Well, I do tell people that lunch is important.
It is.
Lunch is very important. So have a great lunch, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Share the book. And thank you, Tanya, for your insights, your wisdom. And I wish you all the best in this new chapter.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations,
Bye,
Tanya.
everyone.
Thank you.
Hasta la vista,
Bye.
baby.
Baby.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Arrivederci. Adios.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Auf Wiedersehen. Shalom.
Shalom.
Sayonara.
Good Shabbos.